Chaucer was alive to the potential of English. He pokes fun at Yorkshire accents. He dazzles the reader with wordplay. And he mocks the pretensions of people who claim to know French and Latin. Chaucer was the first English writer to be buried in Westminster Abbey. It's ironic that Chaucer's tomb is inscribed in Latin because he is the first writer of genius in our story who consciously chose the English language as the medium for his inspiration. In his early years, according to the fashion of the day, he had worked in Latin and French. It was a bold, almost avant-garde decision to write in English, and his success gave a new authority to the mother tongue. Listening to recordings of Chaucer's English, we can hear that though the vocabulary is essentially the same, the pronunciation is still different.
I'd stand by, studio, and we'll try a take.
Line 180, please, Mary.
Okay.
Can we start from there? There was also a nun. Take it quite steadily. Okay, whenever you're ready.
Okay. There was also a nunny, a prioresse, that of her smiling was full simple and coy. Her greatest oath was but by Saint Eloi.
The first one is the word nun.
Mm-hmm.
And the vowel sound at this time must have been oh, so it should be there was also a nun.
A nun.
A nun.
There was also a nun, a prioressa, that of her smiling was full simple and coy.
Well, that was needs to go was. It's not
Be more
was. Yes.
That of her smiling was full simple and coy. Her greatest oath was but be Saint Eloi. And she was clepered Madame Eglantine.
She, of course, should be she. The vowel in he and she is an A, not an E. She.
She. She spake full fire, and fetisly, after the school of Stratford at a Boa.
I think that's very good, Norman.
Indeed, it's pretty good, yes.
So it's Mary next, please.
There was also a nun, a prioress, that of her smiling was full simple and coy. Her greatest oath was but be Saint Eloi, and she was cleped Madame Eglantine.
The father of English literature stands at the head of a great tradition, which includes many of the writers honored here, especially men like John Dryden and Samuel Johnson, and of course, William Shakespeare. As it happened, some 75 years after Chaucer's death, it was right here within the precincts of Westminster Abbey that the man who published much of Chaucer's work, England's first printer, set up his press. And that was William Caxton. This is Caxton's own work. The first page of the first book ever printed in the English language. Here in the Weald of Kent, Caxton's birthplace, Graham Williams is a printer in the same tradition. He works with the Caxton-style hand press, and also the laborious pen and ink method replaced by the printing revolution, a cornerstone of the Renaissance. He imagines that Caxton was a rather contemporary character.
I think he was a remarkably good businessman. That was his training. That's really what his life was about until he was about 50 years old. I think in his day he was probably a very modern man. I think he would have had an eye to moving up the social ladder just a bit. And I'm quite certain that he was looking at the new technology. He would have dealt with books that were handwritten. Suddenly printing came along. I think it must have intrigued him. The idea of multiplying copies.
But when the first printing press began to roll in England, Caxton faced a problem. In an oral culture, the few who could write tended to spell as they spoke. There were variant spellings for almost every English word. Besides, there were at least 5 distinct varieties of English, an evolution of the Old English language map. In the north was Northern English. In the south, the English of Alfred the Great's Old Kingdom. In Kent, there was the separate variety of the southeast. The Midlands were divided east and west. This is remarkably similar to the Saxon map, and it still holds good today. Within the East Midlands itself, one small nucleus of power, trade, and learning shared the same kind of English. The triangle formed by Oxford, Cambridge, and London is the basis of standard English in the 20th century. When it came to setting Chaucer in the new type, Caxton had to settle for one system. Naturally, he adopted the vocabulary and spelling of the capital, London English. Like all his contemporaries, Caxton himself was an idiosyncratic speller who wrote as he spoke. This is his spelling of girl. Words like right reflect the pronunciation of the time, richt. And so does plough, ploch, a word that even Caxton spells 2 different ways. The English language owes its chaotic spelling conventions to this simple fact, that printers like Caxton fixed the language on the page before a consensus had emerged among its writers and teachers. It was around Caxton's time that English pronunciation went through its last great change. By the late 15th century, English is almost totally recognizable in the mouths of the first professional actors. You could, in fact, imagine holding a conversation with them in the street.
Worshipful sovereigns, join voices with us to summon the devil, Tittivulus.
Cleopas, and thou should bring him in with a shout.
Tittivulus. 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 Tittivulus.
This is Mankind, one of the most popular plays of the 15th century, in an authentic performance outside the porch of Lincoln Cathedral.
Ego sum dominantium dominus. And me nam is Tittivulus.
Do way. We shall no more over the church steel.
Here, the devil prepares to tempt mankind, a hard-working peasant, to swear an oath of loyalty to the 7 deadly sins.
Oh, but heat is very heavy, I tell you for so. We shall sleep full my belly, though he be my brother.
Farewell, every son, for ye have done me garm, for ye have brocht mankind.